Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
This podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. Head there to check out exclusive podcasts like Talking Futurama, Talk King of the Hill, the What a Cartoon Movie podcast, and tons more.
I heartily endorse this event or product.
Ahoy, hoy, everybody, and welcome to Talking Simpsons, the podcast that redefines Narthex. I'm your host, the unblowable Bob Mackey, and this is our chronological exploration of The Simpsons. Who is here with me today, as always?
Someone who always bacons up his sausage. That's Henry Gilbert.
And who do we have on the line?
Oh, we have Lindsay Katai.
Welcome. And this week's episode is She of Little Faith.
I didn't know your dad was so interested in science.
Science?
He didn't say science. He said pie pants.
Pie pants.
This week's episode originally aired on December 16th, 2001, and as always, Henry will tell us what happened on this mythical day in real world history.
Oh boy, Bobby, The Fellowship of the Ring is released into movie theaters. The U.S. withdraws from the Anti-Ballistic Missiles Treaty, and Final Fantasy X is released on the PlayStation 2 just ahead of Christmas time in the U.S. So, a busy, busy time. I mean, well, first off, Final Fantasy X, that was a good Final Fantasy, though I didn't play it until a little later because I did not have a PlayStation 2 in 2001. I didn't get one of those. I had an Xbox and a GameCube, did not have a PS2 until I think the next year.
I played it. It made me think I hated RPGs. It turns out I just don't like that game very much. And we have an entire Retronauts episode about that game.
Oh, okay.
I'm on it stinking up that podcast, folks. But I was in theaters for the first Lord of the Rings movie, and to date have not seen the last one.
What?
So just like for some reason I never saw Return of the Jedi until recently, I never finished watching the trilogy.
Is it just movies with the word return in it that you don't go to see?
They don't sit right with me.
I loved Fellowship of the Ring. Oh my God. When I saw that in theaters, that was just what I needed to recover from 9/11. It was like, we're back to the classic, good and evil world of these dark-skinned orcs. They're the bad guys. They're all just evil at their core, and it's time for the lily white
simple morality
people to come back. Yeah. Any thoughts on Fellowship of the Ring, Lindsay?
I went on a first date to see Fellowship of the Ring. It didn't work out.
I saw it with another single man.
I see.
And he was a friend who worked at Suncoast, and because when that movie came out, people are like, this Lord of the Rings thing, I've never heard of it before. It turns out there were a couple other movies done a long time ago, and so they'd be on a loop constantly at the Suncoast he worked in. So it was like the Ralph Bakshi one and the Rankin Bass one.
I see.
Just on a loop, because there was no other thing to watch. You couldn't just get the DVD yet.
Man, no, those lack Viggo Mortensen, though. The hunkiest of all hunks. Man, I thought he looked really good in that movie. Though, of course, also I love gay hobbits hugging around each other. That's quality entertainment for me. Though, don't watch those Hobbit movies. If there's a good cut, though, my husband had never seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies before, and I am kind of insistent that I think the extended version is the best one to watch. But it is 4 hours. It's a very long time.
It's a couple of nights.
Yes, yeah, and I do have to explain it. Pause and explain a bit to him as well. But and yes, of course, America's like, you know what? We want to have ballistic missiles. Forget this treaty we signed. We want to drop the worst, meanest missiles we possibly can.
What a Christmas present for America.
Yes, yeah. Oh God. But anywho, hey, that's what happened at the time of this Christmas episode and the last episode of The Simpsons for the year 2001.
And today we're welcoming back Lindsay Katai of the Teen Creeps podcast, also of TV shows like Infinity Train, Wolf Boy, and Max and the Midnights. Welcome back to the show, Lindsay.
Woo! Woo!
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
And, Lindsay, your last episode on the show was also about Lisa in the church, though it was when she actually devoutly believed in that she would go to hell if she even stole one grape. So, yeah.
Yes, she was a much younger 8-year-old then.
How do you think this episode of Lisa and Religion stacks up to her previous visions of hell?
I think I like that we're sort of getting like teenage Lisa in this version becoming a Buddhist. I do prefer the other episode. I think it's that one's a classic.
It's teenage Lisa or Lisa coming home from the holidays after one semester of college is what it feels like.
Yes.
That too. But it's a strange pious Lisa who is just like the Lisa in that second season episode where she's suddenly like very invested in Christianity, where in the passing 11 years between those episodes, she seemed to not care that much. She'd be in church with the family, but it seemed like a reluctant agreement.
Yeah, it's an interesting travel she makes in this episode that she loses faith in the institution of the church, but actually like not in just the idea of belief. Like the easy episode to write with this is just Lisa becomes an atheist, as so many a teen, and I'm sure I went through that phase as well, though I didn't go to church with my family anyway, so it was an easy little walk of like, you know what, I don't even believe in anything that we don't bother going to church for anyway. But then
how do you shoehorn in a Richard Gere appearance if she's just a straight up atheist? Harder.
Yeah, it's true. Like there's she should have invited on Ricky Gervais instead.
There you go.
Hey, future guest star Ricky Gervais,
and writer of an episode as well. Yes,
he could do it all.
And and Lindsay, I guess you were seeing Lord of the Rings when this episode came out. Do you have any memories of the first holiday season post 9/11, which is when this was?
I think perhaps I met my dad in Lake Forest to visit step family, and it was my first experience driving on an icy road, and I sailed right into a snowbank.
Oof, geez, man, that's scary. Then
locked my keys in the car.
Jeez, oh man, what a crummy Christmas. I'm sorry, jeez. And you should have learned to give up material possessions and not wanting those things.
Yeah,
you wouldn't.
Exactly.
Richard Gere had a lesson for us all.
Yeah.
This episode, I want to say up front, King of the Hill beat them to the punch with a story about Buddhism. There's a great season 4 episode aired about 18 months before this. It was called "Won't You Pee My Neighbor," and it was about Bobby becoming a Buddhist because these monks come to town, and they think he could be the next reincarnation of the Buddha. And it's a very sweet story between him and Connie, and it's also an exploration of religion in a better way, I think, because Hank is worried that Bobby is being lost to this other religion. He takes him to their reverend, and Bobby asks, well, what is Methodism? And she says, it's a rejection of Calvinism. And Hank is like, see? He doesn't know what she's saying. It just shows that they don't know their religion any more than Bobby does. But it was a better episode.
Yeah, well, like Lindsay said, this one has to make room for Richard Gere in a big movie star.
And they really do. For a lot of scenes where he's very flat.
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism sounds interesting to me, but I never looked too much into it. Even though like one of the first things when I moved here to Berkeley, California, was like, oh, there's like more than one Buddhist temple around here, monastery. I'm sorry, but yeah, I have literally walked by guys in monk robes, monks, I guess I should call them, like sweeping the front of the place. So, and that was not, in suburban Florida. I was not used to seeing that. So it's an interesting thing for Lisa, though. They say that they kept her Buddhist after this episode, like they did with the vegetarianism, but I don't know. I mean, I tried to look it up, and like there are a few episodes, but it's not the same as she goes to church with them every episode after this.
Well, Richard Gere says, sure, go to church. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she says. They say, so you're going to go to church, you're just going to pay lip service to the faith, and she says yes, and Homer is like, that's all I ever asked.
I mean, I learned a lot from Richard Gere's many humorless points about the religion.
That's true, yeah. It feels like a pamphlet, yeah, as well. I think they try to be correct in a sense, but I also feel like I do wish the Buddhist temple they visit perhaps had like a monk in it instead of just a movie star. more. Like maybe actually show the actual adherence to it, other than just a very famous guy and then joke guys who worship it.
It really comes off with this feeling like Richard Gere was in the news and then they wrote this episode.
Well, I think too, they're like, I bet we could get Richard Gere on the show if we turn Lisa into a Buddhist. I bet we could do that. And you know what? The plan worked. If that was their plan, it worked out.
It worked. And congrats to them.
Let's talk about the writer for this episode, Bill Freiberger. And in case you're wondering out there, folks, we don't record these segments with the guest. We do it without them. In case you're wondering, why is Lindsay being so quiet?
We didn't mute her microphone.
Yeah.
No, but
we promise we never will. But
we don't want to bore her with all this talk about this writer guy that nobody's ever heard of.
We used to do this with guests, but they just wouldn't say anything. And, I don't blame them because it's just us listing a bunch of facts about a writer. So we do this without the guests, just to let you know. So Bill Freiberger, how did he get on The Simpsons? Well, he was a writer on Teen Angel and was a supervising producer on it as well. And he wrote 2 of its 17 episodes. And by the way, this is his only Simpsons that he wrote.
Al Jean on the commentary is very clear of he pitched this to me when working on Teen Angel and saying, well, if you ever do an episode, if you're ever in charge of The Simpsons again, I'd like to do this episode. And though apparently his big pitch was more of the rocket stuff than the Buddhism stuff. That was apparently more Al Jean.
Yeah, the rocket stuff was his, and also his initial pitch was he wanted Lisa to start a new religion, but then they were like, well, Homer did that and then Bart did that, so we don't want to do that with Lisa as well.
Yeah, it's true. I think it was better to probably go a little more, but then again, this episode is kind of a repeat of her vegetarianism episode.
It really is.
Style,
and dare I say, less successful.
I'd say so. Yeah, also, yeah. But let's not editorialize just yet.
So where do you get a start? Well, I'll tell you. On the beloved sitcom The Cosby Show, where he was a writer's assistant.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
But hey, no, I'm not hearing about Harvard here, though. He's not a Harvard guy.
I didn't look that up, but I never ran into Harvard.
No, in no way would he not be a Harvard guy. On a commentary, too, he would have said, well, and of course we went to Harvard. Those guys can't not to brag about it.
I'm sure it would have come up.
In Bob Odenkirk's book, he jokes about how he did not go to Harvard and he's kind of tired of Harvard people. Though then again, his brother did go. But and you know what? Bob Odenkirk also mentions he was offered to write on The Simpsons, but decided against it.
Oh,
so, yeah.
what could have been?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was a writer's assistant on The Cosby Show, and he has said in statements I was too low level to even know what was going on, and he's made a few joke tweets about it. He has a few things from his time on The Cosby Show. There's a tweet with him holding a Cosby Show teddy bear saying, is this worth any money these days? So yeah, that's where he got his start. Yeah. Hey, eBay, check it out.
I'm sure somebody would want it.
Yeah.
There's probably somebody who is happy Bill Cosby's not in jail now, apparently. One of those freaks, and they might want a teddy bear with that name on it.
So he has a very interesting career that I believe started in New York. So he also worked on 5 pilot episodes of a proposed Howard Stern late night talk show for Fox. Fox wanted Howard Stern to replace Joan Rivers, who was their initial late night talk show host. They didn't work well with him. They didn't like the content of the pilot, so Howard Stern would then go off and make a local New York TV version of that show for 2 years. But Freiberger worked on the 5 pilots that were made for Fox that I think you can find online, but I didn't look them up. But I know a surprising amount about Howard Stern, but I didn't know about this.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know. He's just one of those staff guys on a bunch of failed Howard Stern stuff. That's funny, man.
And he got into the Fox fold by first writing 2 episodes of Get a Life. There's Paperboy 2000 and Roots, and he was not a staff writer. I believe he was a freelancer.
A pair of classics on that. Also in Odenkirk's book, he mentions that he loved the first season of Get a Life, but by the time he got on Get a Life season 2, he thought it was not the same, and he didn't love David Merkin, I get from his writing in the book. But,
I get the sense of that from a lot of people.
Yes, yeah, but that's funny though that this guy also was. Yeah, I mean, Paperboy 2000 with him versus the giant robot paper machine, that's a paper delivery machine. That's a great episode of TV.
I was looking at some of the ones he wrote for Teen Angel, and they sound like the TGIF version of Get a Life scripts to me.
Man, we should look into this one of these days.
I'm telling you, folks, Teen Angel turns 25 in September. Some podcast should look back upon that failed sitcom and say, what happened?
What podcast is good enough to do it?
I don't know. find out in the future. So from Get a Life, he gets a job on Herman's Head, finally as a producer and a writer. He wrote 12 episodes of Herman's Head.
Holy cow, that's a lot. That's a lot of episodes for a thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Boy, just like Teen Angel, I guess. Too.
Release Herman's Head. There's so much young Hank Azaria and Yardley Smith on there. We need to see it.
Just put it on Hulu. Who cares, you know?
And also other credits. He wrote for the short-lived Jeff Martin sitcom Hardball.
The one of the many failed baseball TV shows. Nobody wants to watch a TV show about baseball.
It stinks. Also, Men Behaving Badly. The PJs. There are so many Simpsons guys on the PJs.
Wow, yeah, man. We should have maybe after we do Teen Angel, maybe the PJs. It's time for that.
I'm surprised we haven't covered it, but yeah, PJs is a good show. What's not a good show, and I think he was the showrunner, Drawn Together.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof goof.
Yeah.
No, that sucks. That show sucks. And that's a bad show.
And I think
no two ways about it.
Yeah, it's not good. But he went from this, I think, to being the executive producer of the non-undergrads college MTV animated show 3 South.
Oh yeah, I'd rather watch it than undergrads. Actually, maybe I'd rather watch undergrads.
Oh, please don't say that.
3 South was gross as hell.
It has Brian Posehn in it.
Yeah.
You at least have that. You don't have the creator doing every voice.
All right, you got me there. Yeah, but man, it's just. I remember watching 3 South, and it was just like one of the first jokes was a character describing a bowel movement. I was like, what am I watching here?
They don't have this kind of filth on undergrads. Where's the wit of Gimpy?
Yeah, Gimpy just saying lines from Star Wars out loud. Now that's comedy.
And absolutely, we will never cover undergrads. Please don't ask us. It's awful.
I think I'd do it before Drawn Together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If there was a gun held to my head, I would choose. Undergrads. My brain doesn't want to remember the title. More Bill Freiberger stuff. So also Greg the Bunny. Not a great show. Also, but also most recently he was an EP on Sonic Boom, that cartoon.
And people said that was a good cartoon. We had on one of the writers for that, Alan on it. Yeah.
So yeah, that is Bill Freiberger. He's been in the industry for like 35 years now.
Yeah, it seems funny that his Simpsons is just like a little brief layover in a very long career, and it's funny too because his episode, out of all the ones this season, this was the one Gene picked for submitting to the Emmys. So
that's right.
He could have been an Emmy winner for this episode of The Simpsons.
A much better thing one.
Yes, For Oswald That Ends Well, the Futurama episode. It's one of the best episodes of Futurama ever. It deserved to win, and yeah, this one, I can see why Gene picked it because it is a more heartfelt Lisa one, and that's usually what he wants to go for. But
with a big star,
with a big old star. But yeah, I guess Freiberger, he wasn't chosen to be staff after this.
No,
I guess. Yeah.
Hey, MTV was a call-in.
Yeah, hey,
he ran his own show.
I guess, would you rather be a king in the MTV kingdom or just a serf in the Simpsons kingdom? It's pretty well paid serf, I would bet, in the Simpsons kingdom. But yeah, that's good to know about this Freiberger fellow. Fried burgers. And yeah, this is the start of the Al Jean era as well, of him taking back over the show in full. But let's save a profile on that for his actual first production episode, which is the next episode in the series. So that way we can just get straight to the episode proper.
Let's put it in gear.
Yeah, hey.
Richard gear.
So this begins with a chalkboard joke about the actual Simpsons cereal that did exist in 2001.
It had It had a really boring name. It's just called Bart Simpson cereal.
Yeah, I know. It's just like
really.
Yeah.
But in the UK and Ireland, they had No Problemos, and the O was like the Cheerio, and they also had Eat My Shorts cereal.
That's so much
we
better.
only got Bart Simpson cereal.
That's so bad. Yeah.
Wow, S&P here really could not come to a conclusion.
No. Apparently it tastes like Reese's peanut butter puffs, like that cereal from back in the 90s. That's the reports that I heard.
It's like peanut
butter puff cereal.
Peanut butter chocolate crunch. Yeah. And then I didn't eat that one, but I did try one box of the accompanying Homer cereal, which came, I think, months after, called Homer's Cinnamon Donut Cereal, which is okay. It's no Cinnamon Toast Crunch as far as cinnamon cereals go, as in my recollection of this 20-year-old cereal. But yeah, so that's why the chalkboard gag is about how Bart now does. Honestly, 2001 feels late for Bart to finally have an official cereal.
Yeah, where was that in 1990?
Yeah. When the Bart craze was really sweeping the nation.
You know, maybe Butterfinger had they're like, hey, the contract says he cannot promote cereals, only candy, only the Butterfinger.
That could be, yeah.
It could, yeah.
And
anything chocolate related had to be Butterfinger.
And so then we get an opening gag, which is funny, but is also the Simpsons repeating themselves because the cold open to season 7's A Fish Called Selma is movie for a rained out ball game, which then leads into Muppets Go Medieval. So this rain delay theater is the same joke. It's the same joke.
I do like the fake sci-fi movie. It reminds me of a lot of what was on Mystery Science Theater. Just like very few sets, very bad acting and special effects. And I don't think kids have to suffer through just having to watch a boring movie because there's nothing else to do. I remember a Saturday afternoon where nothing was happening, nothing was on TV, but I saw coming up next, there's a movie about Blondie. There's a Blondie movie featuring the famous comic character, and I was like, I didn't know they made a Blondie cartoon. It was live action. They made like 18 Blondie movies.
There's a million Blondie.
But I watched that Blondie movie because there was nothing else to do, and they reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, in 2002, imagining a black and white thing broadcast on regular television, like, in no way. Like, kids instantly turn it off if they see something black and white on TV. But the movie in this reminded me of the Mystery Science Theater classic Phantom Planet. And you know, Bob, every year of my life, I grow more and more convinced that the wisest and the best is to fix our attention on the good and the beautiful if we just take the time to look at it.
It's good advice from that actor.
Yes, yeah. You know, Bart has become like a boomer child in this episode because he wants a model rocket. He's watching these old 50s black and white movies on TV, which is not what a child in 2001 was doing. and soon he'll become a fanatic for cowboys. Like
they're forgetting that Bart was, I guess, now born in 1990.
Yeah, I guess he would have been born in 1990 for this episode. Yes.
Hard to readjust that.
The sliding timeline, I also like, you know, space air flooding in, right, goggles on, and just the dog floating in space. That reminded me of another Mystery Science Theater one, The Killer Shrews, where it's just dogs with carpet put on them.
Or like Teenagers from Outer Space, it's just a lobster.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
The cheapest of things.
We now return to The Planet from Outer Space.
Captain, we've been attacked by some sort of force ray. Space air is flooding in.
Right. Goggles on.
Good Lord, we're on a collision course with a monster from space.
That's just a dog in a spacesuit. From the looks of it, a male dog.
Though I was weirded out by Bart gendering the dog by looking at its penis, apparently. That I didn't like that. It's like, and by the looks of it, a male dog. I was like, I don't know.
That's how you show how visible the dog was, I guess.
I guess so.
They didn't draw it.
Yeah, you know what? That had to be like a 4K recreation of that movie to be able to really tell. on an SD TV, I find that laughable.
It's like seeing the makeup on Star Trek. Now you can identify dogs' genders in old movies.
Yep, the higher the HD. Yeah,
I didn't ask for that.
But yeah, so after that, they get a quick commercial, and as usual on this era of The Simpsons, the TV tells them what they'll do next.
We will return to our film after these very loud messages.
Hi, I'm Colonel Chet Manners, 5-time space shuttle alternate.
Loser.
Do you want to boldly go where people like me but not me have gone before? Then get the Orbit King with yaw control like you've never seen.
Hey, Lise, is Dad's credit card number 578-4365-343-410-709? You know it is.
When you have a ribeye steak, you must floss it. Oh, that meatloaf tasted great. You must floss it. Now floss it. Floss it good.
Hey, Dad, will you help me build this model rocket?
Just a second, son. I gotta put on my contacts.
I wanted you to hear all the ASMR on that contact sound.
That's good Foley.
They have these like 6-inch wide contacts. I really love the designs on that.
Bart is forgetting the all-important 3-digit security code. That didn't exist in 2001, but,
right,
you know,
yeah.
that keeps us all safe, that 3-digit code. Don't tell anyone now.
You know, I checked that number that Bart says it's enough numbers to be a credit card, but I tried putting it into an online storefront as a test. It is not. It is registered as an invalid credit card. So don't give it a shot, folks. It's not a real credit card. But
Fox was doing their due diligence.
I guess, you know, I had to input many a credit card working at a video store. So I got used to like, if it starts with these two numbers, this is a Visa versus an Amex or whatever. Because I always had to do that it is a retail experience. You get to memorize the numbers, the little intricacies of credit cards.
I enjoy Chet Manners and his brief disappointment in himself.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
When he says, but not me. So
Not me.
he never went into space, but he was, he was an understudy, basically.
I love his brokenness. He's just like, yeah, now I sell the rockets of the things I could never fly.
But this is definitely a boomer childhood thing,
Yes,
maybe early Gen
yeah.
X. Shooting a rocket into space was never on the table for me.
No way.
Yeah, it wasn't really something any of us did.
Well, like, they're so expensive, too. And then it seems like just for one use, like, you're probably not going to get it back, and it just launches into space. Plus, I feel like in our generation, our parents also got rid of them or de-emphasized them because you'll put your eye out with that thing blasting off this rocket into space. It's it hardly can compare to a video game, which would probably a Nintendo Entertainment System will cost probably equivalent to a good model rocket.
You can fire all kinds of rockets with that thing.
And honestly, even if you live in a city, there's no way. Even living in a suburb, you shouldn't be setting it off just in your backyard.
Yeah.
No,
This is you grew up in Illinois with wide open spaces everywhere.
Or your school's football field, go there for it. Yeah. And what is yaw control? Well, I'll just read off of Wikipedia here. Active yaw control is a dynamic stability control system that sustains longitudinal acceleration and improves lateral stability by controlling torque bias between the rear wheels.
And you want that.
Yes, that's apparently very important when you've got a rocket. So
I do love the continual selling point of its yaw control, and everybody's very into whether or not the yaw control is good.
Everybody knows the terminology. No one questions it. They're just like, well, yeah, more yaw control, good. Yeah.
Not to linger too long on this. It's just funny there's a commercial for this. I know it's for the sake of the plot, but it's just I never saw this on TV. You would go to the model store or whatever, and you would see these in the back or something.
They sell themselves. You don't need ads on TV. But I get, putting it as part of a commercial in an old rocket movie, that's smart. That's the right audience there.
The Simpsons will be right back.
Fox next Sunday. One of the Simpsons is missing.
I did it! I found our dog! Now our Christmas is complete!
We were looking for Lisa. I thought we were caroling.
Richard Gere guest stars The Simpsons, all new 8/7 Central next Sunday on Fox.
Welcome to the break, everybody, of a podcast with a ton of yaw control. And a big thank you to our guest this week, Lindsay Katai of the podcast Teen Creeps. She is such a cool person to have on, and definitely check out her podcast and all the other cool cartoons she worked on, like Infinity Train or the new series she's working on at Nickelodeon. And if you're a fan of this podcast, Talking Simpsons, you only are able to listen to it thanks to the support of listeners like you at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons. For $5 a month, those people not only get to let me and Bob do our dream jobs full time, they also get a ton of exclusives at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons, including over 100 exclusive podcasts of us covering shows like Futurama, King of the Hill, Mission Hill, The Critic, and Batman the Animated Series. Each month you get a brand new one of us talking about a new episode of Futurama and King of the Hill. We're deep into seasons 3 and 2, respectively, of Futurama and King of the Hill. And you'll find over 5 years worth of exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/Talking Simpsons behind that $5 paywall. So head over there now to check it all out. But if you want something extra special to listen to while meditating, then you should sign up at the $10 level at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons, because you get all the $5 things I just talked about. But then you also get access to our monthly What a Cartoon movie podcast. Yes, me and Bob have a side podcast, What a Cartoon, where each month we cover an animated series, and then at the other end of the month, we cover an animated feature film super duper duper in depth, just like we do The Simpsons. Last month, we covered Toy Story 3, the third entry in the classic Pixar series. Before that, we did a 6.5-hour long podcast about Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Thank you very much. And we have a huge back catalog that covers everything from South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut to Kiki's Delivery Service, Aladdin to a Goofy movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, a huge array of podcasts, over 3 years worth of them. I'd say over 260 hours as well. You can hear it all if you go to patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons to see what you're missing out on. One more time, that's patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. And, Freiberger says, the writer of this episode, that he did this rocket stuff when he was a kid. But also, I do think they're pulling a little from the 1999 film October Sky, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Going to forget.
Are you a fan of that one, Lindsay?
I have not seen it, but that is my strongest connection of a boy and a rocket.
I didn't see it either. It was a movie where my mom and brother saw a movie without me. And so I remember it just like, hey, yeah, we go to movies together. You can't see a movie without me. That's all my memories of October Sky. I probably have never watched it out of anger at not being invited.
They saw the trailer and said, not a Henry movie. Sorry, Lindsay.
No, I was just going to say that movie absolutely held no interest for me. The poster alone put me to sleep. This is not a Lindsay movie either.
And you know what? The Homer and his flossing song. That'll get me. I need to make my flossing more of song based, and I'll do it more often. I'll be more diligent with it. The Homer doesn't seem like the type who would floss. Maybe he needed a song to teach him to start doing it. Though also, it's never been established that Homer has contacts either in the show. This is also a first before, but
yes.
I don't think they can resurface.
I do love a good gag joke of just giant contacts.
Mm-hmm.
When you acknowledge the anatomy of the characters, it's always fun.
Yes, for sure.
And so Homer is, as we play in the opening bit, he thinks this is not about science, it's about pie pants, which I like his laziliness of it, of just like, pie pants. Like, that's not a word. It's just, Homer just heard the word in pie, and he's already about
He's just imagining the possibilities.
Yes.
Just as long as he's not involved in any science.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he needs.
He puts that up to the nerds. And yes, Milhouse, it explodes. And Milhouse's beautiful eyebrows are blasted off into mutton chops on Bart. Now Milhouse is just like his mother with fake eyebrows that he has to glue on.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we learned, was a tough thing in their divorce. Kirk brings up that she has fake eyebrows. that really hurt her feelings.
And in this era, they're bringing back the three nerds a lot from Homer Goes to College. Well, not a lot, a few times, but it's weird to see them because they were also in Faith Off, which I believe is season 11, and they're back here. And whenever you see Gary, remember he is a caricature of Rich Moore, but they make his skin brown, and Rich Moore's now an Oscar winner. So there's a remnant of a man who used to work on the show forever trapped within its boundaries, and it's Gary the nerd.
The white man who would go on to co-direct Zootopia is the black nerd in this episode. Yes, it's an odd history to him. The only reason Homer gets better at building it is because he is jealous of Nedity Space Center on Cape Flandaverol with Ned and his family. I love the animation of it carefully floating back down into the box, and the box sealing itself. That's great too.
Where are we, the Wizarding World?
And also, yes, Homer, I just love, like, wow, did you see that yaw control? I have eyes, don't I?
And he's wearing his contacts.
Yeah. Oh, and he's definitely going to see it. Yeah. And yeah, I also just love when Homer gets the help from the nerds here. I really love the exchange between Marge and one of the nerds.
What was that?
Greetings from Nedity Space Center on Cape Flandaverol. We noticed your Sky Row Technics and thought we'd join in. Ooh, looks like a perfect landing.
Wow! Whoa! Did you see that yaw control?
I have eyes, don't I? I would really like to thank you nerds for helping me out.
Colin, could you stop calling us nerds?
Dweeb, wonk, spaz, it's all good.
Who wants some Astro lemonade?
What precisely makes it Astro?
Look, I don't want to start a whole thing with this.
Okay, the rocket's ready to go.
Super. Now, if you'll gather around, I'd like to say a few words. All nerds, clear the launch area.
Let's wait in the car.
I just love Marge's thing of like, this is not, look, I don't want to start a whole thing with this. She was just a mom trying to join in, and they're like, what exactly? Like, just so good. I have certainly been the nerd on the end of it. Someone's nice mother trying to play along and be like, you don't even know Star Wars. What are you talking about? Like, yeah. It's a stupid thing nerds do. I regret it. But and also I love Homer's costuming, that he decided, like, you know what? Now to take it seriously, I'm going to dress like a NASA guy in the 50s.
Yeah, you know? With his like very square glasses
and short sleeves, but with a tie and his pocket protector.
He would have made a great extra on the set of Apollo 11.
Absolutely.
He looks like Kevin Costner in the Hidden Figures. He also looks like 13. Kevin Costner in the Hidden Figures movie. The guy,
yes, he does.
The guy who they had to make up a scene for.
Doing math for space.
Yes.
And speaking of boomer energy, the wife of the astronaut is wearing like the Jackie Kennedy pink Chanel pantsuit dress thingy.
Yeah, we have been talking about
sort of a strange
Jackie
outfit to put her in.
Jackie Kennedy was not the wife of the doting wife of a NASA pilot, but I guess it's like, well, if you're trying to imagine, say, Buzz Aldrin or his wife, like, what outfit would you put on her anyway? So it's like, it's Jackie O. That's a 60s doting wife in the space age. Works to us the same.
I think it's foreshadowing the fate of Nibbles. Do we see him escape, or I forget? We do? Okay.
Well, we don't see him safely land, but we see him have a successful, very peaceful looking ejection.
Okay, yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right. He hits the eject button. Yes.
I feel like that eject button joke cuts before he's eaten by something or something horrible happens to him.
I could see that.
A bird grabs him out of the air. Yeah.
But yes,
flies right over a pit of lions at the zoo.
But it is the return of Nibbles the hamster. Last scene with Skinner asking him to chew through his ball sack in that other Christmas episode.
That's the same hamster.
Yes. Yeah. And
I really love the Marge joke when they're talking about how he's leaving his wife with 5 children, and Bart says, well, she already ate 3 of them. Marge's response is, well, how sensible.
That's great. Yeah, she's not disgusted in any way. She's like, well, it makes sense. You got 8 kids, better eat just 3
if she could eat Bart, she would, just to make things a little simpler around the house.
Yeah, I also was thinking, I mentioned this to Bob, it's a different animal, but adjacent. To have a hamster in the Richard Gere episode is, I don't know.
Playing with fire.
Yeah. I don't know if that was an intentional mean joke on their part or not. But
we'll talk about it when we get to the Gere section.
Do you think it was a gerbil?
Yes, yeah. But
of the Richard Gere urban legend involves a gerbil.
No, Bob has a whole history on it. Yeah,
it's very brief, but
I believe it.
It's still interesting.
But also with the slow motion right stuff thing, it's like, I don't know. The Simpsons referenced it so much that I thought The Right Stuff was like a famous movie or something. Nobody ever talks about that movie. It's
a bunch of guys walking around really slow.
Is that the
entire movie? Yeah.
Again, it's another one, just like October Sky. I have not seen it, but I don't think my mom and brother have seen it either. Well, my mom might have, but...
You should see The Right Stuff without your brother, just with your mom.
Oh, well...
Revenge, finally.
You know what? He hasn't traveled enough. My brother has not traveled enough on Christmases, so now I've watched a lot of movies without him, with my mother. So
sweet revenge.
They also bring up the stuff with Nibbles that on the commentary they mentioned that in the real world back in the day, the toy rockets you could sell did have clear cockpits that you could put like live animals into, like a lizard or a bug, and they're just thinking like, boy, that was pretty fucked up in our childhoods. It was like, yeah, explode a bug in this thing. But
that is really fucked up. I was not aware that this was based on a real thing you could do.
Well, they were just following the lead of cosmonauts and NASA of just like, well, yeah, kill a live animal when you do this. Like, you got to kill an ape or a dog, kill something.
And we have to talk about the cut 9/11 joke, right?
All right, let's talk about it. Yes, yeah.
Because I forgot about this cut joke. Is it a deleted scene on the disc?
It is a deleted scene on the disc. Yes.
If you look at the rocket that Homer is shooting off, it says HJS, which seems like a very weird addition. That's his initials, Homer J. Simpson. And I was like, it's weird that's just on the rocket and there's no joke about it. Well, there was, because when the rocket launches, a man of non-white descent named Hassan J. Salam is arrested because his initials are on the rocket, and we were making these jokes before 9/11. Like, there's a joke about Osama bin Laden on Family Guy before 9/11. So that we were making these jokes, and then this joke got cut because this episode aired after 9/11.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now the man is dressed in, let's say, traditional garb of some Arab nations, and yes, though the joke is that the police are arresting an innocent man who is saying like, no, I'm innocent, and so the joke is about railroading a man, an Arab man who people think is a terrorist just because of how he looks, and they also have a joke of him saying that I need to call my cousin Casey Kasem, which is a joke about Casey Kasem being Lebanese, I believe. And so apparently they wrote the joke before 9/11. They get the animation back in October, and that's when they're all in shock of like, oh my God, we wrote this joke. Holy shit. So they obviously cut it, but now it lives forever on the DVD.
And between the time they wrote it and when it aired, arresting people on just very vague suspicions became very popular.
Yeah. You don't want to come out against that in post 9/11.
We're like in the dawn of the Patriot Act.
Ugh, God. Bad times. But yes, Homer and Bart watch it launch into the air. Homer misquotes the classic sonnet "High Flight," which is, has the lines, "Have slipped the surly bonds of earth, then touched the face of God, not punched it." And there's a good joke of Homer doing a countdown, but at the end of it saying instead of saying blast off, saying countdown, and then pressing the button. Right. That's a good gag, but unfortunately, it flies off course. As it's flying through the air, there's some great shots of like Milhouse watching and his eyebrows fly off. And then we have the classic comedy staple of the drunk in shock throwing away his whiskey bottle, but this time a businessman catches it, and so like, ooh, wine, and then he lays down in the gutter.
I like any twist on the guy rubbing his eyes and throwing the bottle, and that was like a new one 20 years ago.
People still innovating on that joke now in the world of comedy. Lindsay, have you written a blinking drunk throwing away his bottle joke yet?
I can't say that I have, but that's mostly because I write animated shows for children.
Well, you have to make it now. You rub your eyes and throw away your vape pen.
Oh, right.
All references to alcohol and smoking products are not allowed.
Okay, what if it was apple juice? What if it looked like a wine bottle, but it said apple juice?
A guy rubs his eyes and then tosses his Capri Sun.
Exactly.
A businessman catches it behind him.
Yes, Nibbles safely ejects. On the commentary, they're even worried of like, we didn't kill this hamster, did we? And fortunately, like, oh, thank goodness we didn't. But and then Homer trying to shoot it down by randomly firing a shotgun into the air is a pretty funny gag too. I like that. But then the very short first act ends with, again, a really great line here. I have a quick clip.
Now it's heading for the church.
Don't worry, I planned for this.
This is the worst thing you've ever done.
You say that so much it's lost all meaning.
Because Homer is always at his worst, and it's always a new low. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, it's Homer commenting on how horrible he is all the time on the show. Like it's a good line by old Homer there.
In a way, the rocket flying into the church and destroying it is punching the face of God.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Homer pulled it off. You're right, man. we only see it from the outside. that rocket had to be full of dynamite or something, because it has to bounce around that church so much to destroy every single window and burn the inside.
The nerds filled it with nitroglycerin or something?
Maybe,
They're at fault.
Yeah, they built it.
But instead, Homer just lets an Arab man take the blame for it and go to jail, probably never to be seen again, I would guess.
This was not on, obviously, where I watched it, Disney Plus.
No.
Nope.
It's too bad it's why you got to hang on to these DVDs. Disney doesn't put any of these extras on there. You don't get the commentaries. Yeah. I feel like, so many of the classic commentaries are also Al Jean saying how much he hated working at the Disney company back in the 90s, and I also feel like they're not going to be on there.
No.
Oops.
Now he loves working there, and there's no problem.
Welcome back, Al.
Yeah. But then the episode resumes in Act 2. The windows are all smashed out. There's a funny kids' paintings covering up the stained glass that's destroyed. And this is when we get to meet all the church leaders, which now includes Kearney, with the very hard-to-figure-out line of a teenager and the parent of a teenager, which... so was he 6 when he had a child, and now the child is 13 and he's 19? Or does he just identify as a teenager when he's really old enough to have seen the bicentennial as previously set up in season 7?
Well, the kid who sleeps in the drawer has grown up now.
Yeah, he's gotten pretty old now, that kid. But I just like that Kearney is now a community leader in the church as well.
Also dating his friend's moms.
Yes. Hey,
find out.
It's not... I guess if you view him as not actually a teenager, then the statutory implications of that later joke work better then.
I view him as a full-blown adult.
I as well, yes.
It's a Billy Madison style.
In elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just an adult who goes around elementary school all the time hanging out with children. Nothing wrong there. Very
I think he just hasn't graduated yet.
Yeah.
I have convened the church council to see what we should do now.
Fixing this church should be our top priority, and I say that as a teenager and the parent of a teenager.
Fixing all that damage is going to be very expensive.
Yes, barring some sort of miracle. All right, we'll help ourselves. Yet again. People, we need some fundraising ideas.
Let's just write to David Bowie again.
No, he's done enough for this church. Anyone else?
I've got the answer. Just let me run this church like a business.
It's kind of you to offer, Mr. Burns, but buzz around town is that you're, evil.
Oh, that's just a skip rope rhyme. Believe me, the Lord's going to go for this in a big way. Now, who's with me?
Oh, I guess we have no choice.
Excellent. Go! Oh, you'll get yours.
But yeah, so they don't know what to do. Lovejoy has a fun bit of referring to the old idiom, God helps those who helps themselves, which he is sick that he's going to have to do it again. And apparently that idiom is not literally in the Bible. There are some lines that are like, oh, this line in the Bible means that, but apparently that actually dates back to ancient Greece and the Christians took it for themselves.
Oh, some different God.
Yeah.
The only time they've ever done that.
Apparently the original version is plural. The gods help those who help themselves. So Also, apparently David Bowie has helped their church before, but they don't want to do it again.
That joke is very funny. and I have no context for it.
Yeah, I looked it up. David Bowie, obviously he did charitable work in his life, but doesn't seem like the type to give money to a church.
No.
But, the more... but
Yep.
And then we get a very devilish entrance by Mr. Burns. And so this is kind of a comment on mega churches, but I do think this misses the mark a little bit because, yes, businesses do get involved in mega churches and all that, but usually the mega churches it's not that the church leaders are then brought to by corporations usually. It just is the cultish leader of a church is like, I have to make this bigger to be more rich myself. itself. Like, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think the whole premise of the episode is flawed because churches are big businesses. Mega church bring in so much money without needing any outside help.
They don't need a Mr. Burns to come in and tell them, hey, make a bunch of money. Like, it feels like one of several choices made in this episode to make Lovejoy and organized religion in general and not at fault, that you can instead blame Burns for it, you know?
Yeah, it's strange when the mega church joke is like right there, that like they could have just had the concept of the episode be that Lovejoy turns it into a mega church and Lisa has a problem with.
Yeah, actually, it reminded me of what was happening to public schools in the early 2000s, late 90s, where they were becoming more corporate sponsored and they were putting like lots of soda machines and advertisements on the walls. I saw it more or something like that, but they don't mention that at all in the commentary. So.
Yeah, though I mean, and mega churches bigger than ever. I mean, they already were getting pretty big around America, even in 2001 when this was new. But yeah, it's like mega churches are so big. They're all over your neck of the wood, Lindsay, with like Mosaic and Hillsong and all the ones your favorite celebs go to.
Yeah, and I went to UC Irvine, where we're very close to that television station.
Oh, all right.
I forget what it's called.
Have you ever run into Chris Pratt around there?
I have not.
And wasn't that dumb where we had to like choose sides between him and Elliot Page? Who would do that? Like Elliot Page was right. Like it's Chris Pratt. Him being in a homophobic church sucks, and people should judge him for that.
Well, he's Garfield now. We have to live with it.
Yeah, he's Garfield now. He'll be president.
He's everybody now.
He'll be president someday, I'm sure of it. But yeah, it's I mean, in LA, like it's not just Chris Pratt, like Justin Bieber, Kevin Durant, Selena Gomez, like they're all members of these giant mega churches. It's the new hip thing. Unless you're just going to go to your own church that you start yourself, like say Kanye West or Jared Leto are doing. You know, they're their own. They're cutting out the middleman on the mega church and just getting their own cult together.
That's the way to go, man. That's what I would do.
They're being more of a Mr. Burns there instead of letting it go to somebody else. But yes, I also like Burns saying like, I'm not evil. That's just a skip rope rhyme. That's a great line. And that crucifix should have caved his old head in.
Yeah.
You know, that's the rest of the episode is Mr. Burns just dead.
Hey, you know, Al Jean is back running the show, and that's why Burns is here.
That's right.
He's out of the plant, but he's, on the scene.
And then in our next clip, Burns, he can start a business, but he really needs modern business of 2001, so he calls on a modern businesswoman.
This is Lindsay Nagel. Don't let the skirt fool you. She'll have this place making money in no time.
Isn't that skirt a little north of the knee?
You're telling me.
I guarantee I can find some new revenue streams. Step 1, let's sell some ad space. Reverend, how would you feel about wearing this robe?
Conflicted.
Too bad. You've already signed the deal.
Actually, he hasn't.
Oh. Well, we highly value your input until you sign the deal.
Let me handle this, Monty.
Good idea. I'll be hiding behind that tree.
Burns is really bumbling as a villain in this episode, and later when he tries to escape with the smoke bomb, doesn't really work out either.
I like too that Burns is like, he is sexist, but he also is like, you know what? No, this may be a woman, but she can be just as evil in a corporate sense as I can be. Like to give her a chance, But
true feminist.
Yeah. So Lindsay, what do you think of the most famous Lindsay on The Simpsons being so evil as Lindsay Nagel is?
I love seeing girl bosses, and so I was very excited and flattered.
It's she does show that the ladies can do it too. Like and as we always point out, she is named after Sue Nagel, the future HBO executive and a super agent, and I think she just stopped running some part of Annapurna or something. Sue Nagel's still very powerful in Hollywood. So that's Lindsay Nagel was a fun joshing of somebody they knew. I believe she was at least some of the writers' manager or agent at one point, but yes, the evil. By now Lindsay Nagel is so well known in the show that Burns just goes like, I have to tell you her name. It's not just this, and they're not making up a new name. You're like, nope, it's just Lindsay Nagel again. We're just bringing her back in. Also, just too bad you've already signed the deal. Actually, you haven't. Oh well, we value your input. Like, yes, I'm sure in your corporate world of animation, Lindsay, you've never dealt with any situation like that.
I will say the friendly faces never stop, even after you've signed the deal, even when you're being told something you don't want to hear.
Wouldn't you rather they'd shake their fist at you and then taunt you
You'll
after
get yours.
a certain point?
Yeah.
It certainly makes it less confusing if they would just do that.
No, Lindsay, I've really appreciated a lot of your tweets about the new deal for animation push on social media. I've learned a lot through them and others.
It's very important. We are still, unfortunately, in negotiations. I really wish that the AMPTP would just sign already so we don't have to do a strike vote.
Well, hey, by the time this comes out in June, maybe everything turned out great and you got everything you wanted and everything's happy.
Yeah,
good.
I'm sure I'll be making just as much as a WGA writer by then.
Yes, no,
like a Simpsons writer.
Lindsay, I also we've sourced it many times, but I did not know about all these wonderful rules about what a season is in the world of streaming. So thank you for that. Yes.
That was a real eye opener, and I am still dealing with that in my current job, unfortunately.
Well, anyway, hey, speaking of disappointments, Lisa is disappointed by this change in the church, which, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like, what does Lisa care about church?
I was disappointed that Marge wasn't disappointed. It doesn't seem very like Marge to be behind all of this.
She's so into the comfort of it.
She's into the pew comfort. And I agree. Yeah. I mean, I went to Catholic school. Those pews suck.
Soften them up. Get some cushions in there. I agree. I mean, so, I mean, I do
I'm
love...
the opposite. Put some hair on those seats.
It should be torture.
I just love the line, we prefer a faith-based emporium teeming with impulse items. And Lisa said, I feel like I want to throw up. Then my work is done. Like this again, also know that this is Al Jean still dealing with his anger towards at the time in the late 90s Disney executives he had to work with at ABC. Like just know that that's what he's putting out there. When they enter the place, this is when there's the second deleted scene that's in the episode, which is a quick little joke about how there are sky boxes now for the rich at it.
Okay.
And so they look up, Rich Texan is in there, and he's saying, I'm closer to God than you are. And instead of saying yee-haw, he says Yahweh.
Interesting. I saw him in the skybox in the background, and I was like, there's got to be a joke for him.
Yeah. Apparently that, I'd have kept it. Him saying Yahweh instead of yeehaw, that's a funny gag.
That's very funny.
Yeah. I also, again, there's a literal money changer in the temple, which is, of course, part of the famous Jesus Gospels of the cleansing of the temple and him kicking the money changers out. But that it's a literal money changer.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. All that crap.
You've heard it. You've seen the movies. The giant neon Jesus that's shaped like Vegas Vic with the thumb and the lasso.
He's all man. And then also credit to the Simpsons artists who drew the Last Supper in Simpsons style. Like that's not easy.
That's a tall order.
Money changed. Get your money changed right here in the temple.
Ugh, that could not be more blasphemous.
Where's Bart? Do a nice one for Grandma.
Fine.
These new pews are so comfy.
I am not going to be taken in by all of this.
Lisa, don't sulk. You're on the Jumbotron.
Adorable. And also, you know what? They smartly just reused a bunch of old logos. They're like, every logo that you see, from the Zip Boys to the Frying Dutchman to the Singing Sirloin, all from the series 13 years before this. So economical use of signs. Don't make up new funny sign gags to fill out the place. Just use the old funny sign gags.
I'm working in CG right now as opposed to 2D. And you do have to worry about things like that. Do we have that asset already, or are we going to have to build that that model just for this one gag, and I'd be like, we're reusing them all. Great.
Just have it be a hot dog again. We already have the hot dog. Yeah.
They're easier to render.
But yes, then also it turns into a bit of TV commentary as Burns is a TV executive forcing Lovejoy to say his lines and saying like he'll say it or I'll bust him down to Thursday night vespers.
It's like Sunday morning is prime time for Lovejoy, but like Thursday night services, it's like you don't want to be there.
Yes,
but it's the death spot.
Yeah, no one goes to that.
I also, as a kid, I was mesmerized by those turning ad things. Like if we went to a baseball game as a family, I was not watching the game. I was watching the ads of like, have I watched every turn? How many sides does this have? I want to see each ad and know that I saw them all.
Played you like a fiddle. Those advertisers.
That ad for Ally McBeal, it was all for naught because the show would be canceled in May, unfortunately. Ally McBeal only lasted 5 seasons. It burned bright and then went away.
Her carefree attitude could not exist after 9/11. Just couldn't buy it.
That is a show that does not hold up. Have you seen an episode recently?
No, I haven't.
Is it available anywhere?
Goodness. Me and the Infinity Train Writers Room started watching season 1 of Ally McBeal. It is available on Hulu.
Okay.
It is bad. It is a bad show that is bad for society.
Not as feminist as people remember it, perhaps.
No.
But what if a woman wore a skirt?
Just like fat phobic, transphobic, racist, sexist, all the ists.
It's best left in the 90s, I guess, then yes. It sounds like. Yeah. And then comes up on stage. It almost feels like a Family Guy or South Park thing, but I still like seeing the actual living Noid appears and walks on to the dais.
He's taken aback by Lisa's outbursts.
Yes,
the Noid had a lot to say about deliciousness.
He was going to have a lot to say. Matt Selman loved the Noid and wanted to shove him on there.
And now let us rise and
He's not going to say it.
Trust me, he'll say it or I'll bust him down to Thursday night vespers.
And thank Crazy Larry, whose big screen TV prices are insane. And now to deliver a special sermon on the sanctity of deliciousness, the Noid.
That's it!
Yeah, Lindsay, we asked the last time the Noid came up on here, we had Nick Weiger on, and so we asked your writing opinion too. How hard would it be to get on a very weird reference like specific like the Noid into your TV show?
I think I could make it happen. I could make it happen because I'm currently writing on a very silly comedy, and I feel like my team would support it. It just depends on whether or not your team is supportive of your specific dumb reference.
That's good. I think I think people still need to know about the Noid and that he hates pizzas. But yeah, he is shocked at Lisa, and this is when Lisa has. This was my most memorable line of the episode. Is this one too? I think for everybody here.
Lisa, it's still the same basic message. We've just dressed it up a little.
Like the whore of Babylon?
That is a false analogy.
No, it's not. It's apt. Apt! Don't you see what Mr. Burns has done to this church?
He restored it from nave to narthex.
He supersized the pews for the Zoftig believers.
He put ice in the urinals.
Those are all wonderful things, but they've cost the church its soul. And I, for one, will not be a part of it.
You want your hand stamped so you can come back in?
No, I'm leaving this church forever.
No!
I don't know how to feel.
You should be very upset.
Got it. Ah! How is that?
A little much.
Oh.
Yes, I do enjoy the screaming of apt.
Apt. Yes, just apt. It's apt.
Analogy.
And all the people are gasping. So real quick here, the Noid returned to cheer us all up during COVID in 2021. He returned in the form of limited merchandise from Domino's, and he made an appearance in the Crash Bandicoot mobile game.
Right.
So this was last year. I don't remember this, but you know what? he made COVID go away.
Man, you know what? Well, now, Lindsay, you could pitch it as like advertising within your show. Like, work with Domino's to get the Noid in your show.
Yeah, maybe. I'll check with Nickelodeon.
I think Lisa using an analogy with the Whore of Babylon seems also slightly misogynistic for Lisa as well, I think. But
yeah, it seems a little, well, certainly now Lisa would be pro sex workers.
She would not use the Whore of Babylon as a negative reference, for sure. Yeah.
And by the way, in the background, there's a very elaborate background gag called the 10 Suggestions, and I wrote them all down, but they're not funny, so I'm not going to say any of them.
Oh, wow.
One of them is don't smoke crack, and that's the height of it.
Wow, if that's the funniest
that's
one.
Not funny.
No.
I did look up that a nave is the central part of the church building, and the narthex is the antechamber or large porch of a modern church. So nave to narthex, it's a clever line by Mel. And,
I thought I thought nave was like short for navel.
And that
narthex was like a just different body part name that I was unaware of.
These are all important parts of the church that are very relevant.
Look, I had to Google it too. I didn't know these things. Though also, like the ice in the urinals bit, that feels like one of many mean gay jokes about Patty, that she would pee in the urinal because she's mannish, and it's mean jokes.
Implying that her true sex is male.
Yeah, this kind of sucks. But hey, you know why they keep ice in the urinals? To prevent odor, and apparently it's a bartending secret.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why if I've rarely seen them in a bathroom, but occasionally I have, and I always wonder, like, what's the deal with that? Apparently it does prevent odor. So. But why wouldn't you just pay for a urinal cake? You got to refresh the ice all the time. The urinal cake.
This is going to sound like a joke, but I prefer the Splash Hog. It's a device called the Splash Hog.
Okay, I've not heard
at the bottom of urinals. You're not reading the things that you're peeing into, Henry.
I read the Kohler brand on stuff. That's as far as my eyes go.
Well, I recommend the Splash Hog.
Splash Hog.
It's a real device.
Okay.
It does what it says.
It hogs all the splash?
It does, yeah. Not to get too blue.
I also like that the act ends with Homer and Castellaneta like trying out different line reads, like, oh, how about this? Oh, that's good. And also, you know what? This is a runner at this time. A hand stamp joke. There was a similar joke about not wanting a hand stamp when leaving Ned's B amusement park. He made a tribute to Maud Flanders. So a real hand stamp era.
Lots of parents taking their kids to Legoland at this time.
And yeah, so Act 3 begins, and it's 11 minutes long. Very long for an Act 3. We're more used to short Act 3s, but it seems like they wanted the first commercial break to be, oh no, the church is destroyed. Then they wanted a second commercial break, oh no, Lisa has left Christianity. So then it's just a very long third act about, like, Lisa becomes a Buddhist, and then it's a Christmas episode. So
because that's the real story.
The ads, like, I put in one of the retro ads.
Everything else was just lead-in.
I put one of the retro ads for the listeners here in it, and they advertised it as Richard Gere in the Christmas episode, and like it's 14 minutes before
it does feel like the second act break should be
not very Christmassy.
Yeah, it does feel like the second act break should be like the first
but
act break.
Then the first act would be in 11 minutes, and maybe Fox was telling them, like, no, we want a commercial sooner. Like maybe it was the demands of that. They just like the church, they had to give into commercialism and the demands of the market.
Indeed.
But yes, I like that this act. So many episodes are like Homer and Lisa disagree. Like, this episode is so similar to Lisa the Vegetarian, so I'm glad that they instead make it, not that Homer does like her being Buddhist either, but the real drama.
Marge is definitely leading the charge.
Yeah, it's a mother-daughter thing, which, you know what, Simpsons doesn't have a ton of mother-daughter episodes, you know.
I guess Lisa the Skeptic was kind of the same dealy.
Yeah, actually, that's very similar too.
Yeah.
Like, Marge is a believer, Lisa is not. See, now you brought up that skeptic one, I'm just like, well, wait, yeah, why? This is Elisa who thinks it's a joke to believe in an angel. Why would she be the one telling Reverend Lovejoy, like, yeah, I used to believe in church and you gave it up? It's like, wait, you thought angels were stupid and that your mom was dumb for believing in them.
It's an off Lisa.
But then that episode where she doesn't want Homer stealing cable.
Yeah, she believed it very
Lisa's
deeply
faith has an arc.
She loses it over time and then occasionally gets it back. But I also love Marge, Julie Kavner's saying of like, woo, why do you have to be so different? Like, it's funny delivery by Kavner.
Lord, I'm not turning my back on you. I just need to find a temple that's free of corruption.
Why do you have to be so different? Always making a big deal out of everything. Oh.
Mom, I know it's you. I can't believe you're eavesdropping on my prayers.
Honey, I'm worried about your soul. I want at least one person from this family to go to heaven.
I still believe in God. I just think there's another path to him or her.
Her? Oh, she's just kidding, Mr. Lord.
After reading Religion Hood and rejecting Methodism, which she thinks is stupider than eating a heart, like she then moves on, and then we have a quick, like, had to be the 6th time they've done a Long Weekend parody. Also on her walk there, they do that so many times.
I just
What is Long Weekend?
You mean Lost Weekend?
A Lost Weekend.
Yeah.
I say Long Weekend. I think I do this every single time.
I also don't know what Lost Weekend is, though. So apparently I was watching a parody of something, didn't even know it.
It's old.
Where you see all the neon signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
They parodied it a ton of times.
Yes.
But eventually, after walking by signs like Church of Latter-day Druids, she ends up at the temple in Springfield where Lenny and Carl reside, though it feels like Lenny is just following Carl around here.
Yeah.
He doesn't really
Very
follow
much.
it. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, not to mention, at least according to Google, most adherents to Tibetan-style Buddhism, at least, do not drink alcohol, which is not the life of Lenny and Carl. So
Indeed not.
Yeah. But yes.
Real dark jokes about being with Mo on Christmas, in fact.
Oh, yeah. But yes, first, let's hear a quick clip of our big old guest star.
Lenny and Carl, you guys are Buddhists?
Oh, yeah. If I didn't have inner peace, I'd completely go psycho on all you guys all the time.
Well, I'm looking for a new faith, one that isn't so materialistic.
Well, you've come to the right place. Buddhism teaches that suffering is caused by desire.
Richard Gere?
Oh, the world's most famous Buddhist.
Well, what about the Dalai Lama?
Who? You know, the 14th reincarnation of the Buddha Avalokiteshvara.
Who's Buddha?
It's a good thing Buddhism teaches freedom from desire, because I've got the desire to kick your ass.
Mr. Gere, I was hoping Buddhism could bring me inner peace. Or is that just a pipe dream?
We all have dreams. Mine is of a free Tibet.
That would be so great.
I dream about meatball sandwiches. All you can eat for $2.
Good luck. This pamphlet contains the teachings of the Buddha. All things are impermanent and are empty of inherent existence.
Hey, Richard, in An Officer and a Gentleman, did you really do all those sit-ups?
I wish. I did one, and they just showed it 1,000 times.
Oh, he sounds so bored.
Yeah, he's not the highest energy when he was just recorded at his home in New York City.
Yeah. It doesn't help that he had like certain stipulations. Like he wanted his role to be informational more than comedic, and the free Tibet.
He pulled that off. Yeah.
And the
really
free the free Tibet line is just like a clunker because it's just like, here's my belief, and then let's move on to the next joke. That was the stipulation. Like he needed to say that in the show. It's like it's cool that he stood for his beliefs, but it's also the comedy show is kind of buckling under them.
Yeah. And I'll give it to him too that him standing for that belief still is also why you don't see Richard Gere in movies that much these days. Is because
they all have to be sold in China.
Yep, and you can't. It's why he's become more of an indie darling these last couple decades.
I was going to say, I wonder what Disney like. I'm surprised Disney Plus is showing that line.
I was a little surprised.
Ooh, yeah.
I looked it up. As far as I could tell, it's not one of the censored in the Hong Kong or Chinese Disney Plus versions. So
real quick, gerbil stuff. So
gerbils, yes.
Urban legend about Richard Gere. He puts gerbils in his butt for sexual pleasure. Obviously not true. We're not saying that's true in any way. I can tell you where this pre-internet meme came from. I did some research. So this myth was applied to other people before him. That part's not important, but it was being put onto other people. He was not the first one. This stuck to him because around the time of Pretty Woman's release, someone was circulating a joke fax around Hollywood. It was a fax tweets supposedly from the ASPCA claiming Richard Gere was doing these things, and it was being circulated. That was the pre-Twitter. That's what a meme was. You would get a joke fax, like,
what a prank.
A hilarious joke fax came in.
Wow.
This circulated to the point where the comedian Sam Kinison included it in his act, a bit about Richard Gere putting gerbils in his butt. And then that was part of his act for a while, and then the first TV show reference to that was in 1992 on In Living Color. And from then, so many other TV shows did it. The Simpsons did it with Troy McClure and his fish thing. So
Right.
everyone was just doing it based on what we think is the origin being a joke fax about him. And that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was something a little more nefarious than that, but that's like really, he must be really irritated by that.
I would think so. Well, I mean, it also is like, it's homophobic because he's a handsome man. And so it's like, yeah, he's a gay dude who'd put a gerbil in his butt. Like, That's
And like he was in the Broadway show. I think it was called, I forget what it was called, but he played the victim of the gay Holocaust or something. He was playing a gay character in that as well. So people were saying it might be related to that, but I think it was just like, wouldn't it be funny if the biggest actor in 1990, we said this about him and people believed it and it happened. So no one has tracked down the writer of this joke fax, but that's the story and you have to bring it up. So yeah.
I didn't remember hearing about it until the late 90s, though. I thought it originated in the late 90s, and then like it was just like everywhere.
Well, bubbles up all from time to time, just over and over again. Even now, as we're talking about it too. Richard Gere, he also in this episode did it as well because he has he had a stepdaughter, right? He still has a stepdaughter.
Yeah, like Hannah.
His stepdaughter Hannah.
Well, from the old marriage.
Yes, yeah, but though she actually, Hannah Dunn, her biological father is Griffin Dunn, the star of American Werewolf in Paris.
Okay.
Or in London. And her mother is actress model Carrie Lowell, who was in a Bond movie and also was in Law and Order for a couple seasons. And the two of them went through Carrie Lowell and Richard Gere went through a very bad divorce, which went all the way to the New York Supreme Court, mainly just about money. It was not, there were no other bad allegations, just like one, but it was a battle over money. But Hannah Dunn, don't worry about her. She's a movie star now who stars and stuff. She's 32, was in that Mozart in the Jungle show on Amazon Prime.
Richard Gere still braiding her hair occasionally.
Yes. And she's also, fun fact, his daughter Hannah, when this episode aired, she was 11. Richard Gere's current wife, she was 18 when this episode first aired. So yes, that's that was a fun face. If only you listeners could see Lindsay's face when I said that. But hey, he married his current wife when she was in her early 30s. So it's not. And he, of course, was 70. He's 73 now, and she's 38. So
Also, my kind of rule about a wide age gap is just: are they still keeping it tight? If so, then okay.
I mean, Gere still looks pretty good. I'll say he's not letting himself go.
It's all that temperance. It's all that Buddhism.
So yes, Lisa is handed a pamphlet. I did laugh that here's a pamphlet. How do you like that? I'm surprised for somebody who wanted to be so informational. He's like, I'll just give you a pamphlet on the Buddha. I'm not giving you a book.
I guess he was okay with that joke.
Yeah,
it's I could feel they didn't give the pamphlet a funny name because of him.
Oh yeah, I bet they had some mocking stuff about Buddha in there. They have to be.
I will say Lisa's knowledge of Buddhism is definitely pamphlet deep.
Yes, yeah. She bought a Bodhi tree. What more do you want from her? That feels like materialism to me. But hey, look, I'm not a Buddhist. I don't know, but
planting a tree is always good.
I do feel like though something that makes this a little bit of Orientalism is it's like get in an actual monk in here. Have it not just be like Richard Gere apparently runs this temple and he's the one guy there. I don't know.
And Lenny and Carl are surprised.
I will say, if you go to a lot of Buddhist temples, it is a lot of white people.
Okay, well,
it's like mostly white people.
I see some
in Los Angeles, anyway.
Around Berkeley at the temple we have here, I see not a lot of non-white people at it, but yeah. So Lisa fully buys in. That gets Ned's Satan sense tingling, which of course is a reference to Spidey sense, which that made me chuckle.
Nirvana is achieved through right views and right speech. Positive actions lead to happiness, and negative actions lead to unhappiness. No creator gods, just the pursuit of enlightenment. I'm a Buddhist! Hey, I'm a Buddhist!
My Satan sense is tingling. Into the root cellar, boys!
When can we come out?
Maybe never.
And Rod and Todd Flanders, they're excited that they're never going to leave that root cellar again. but then we get a very funny misdirect. You think Homer's giving a speech to Lisa, but he's really telling Bart to put butter on his bacon and then baking up that sausage as Bart is having heart problems. I love that bit.
I do love this bit quite a bit.
So, you think you know better than this family, huh? Well, as long as you're in my house, you'll do what I do and believe what I believe. So butter your bacon.
Yes, Father. Mom, Dad, my spiritual quest is over.
Hold that thought. Baking up that sausage, boy.
But, Dad, my heart hurts. Oh. I'm a Buddhist.
What? That's it. No more chat rooms for you.
You know, Lisa, around here, Buddhists don't get any desserts in their lunches.
A Buddhist wouldn't want any.
Lisa then announces it. That's when Homer does tell her, like, no more chat rooms for you. Like, I do think our parents were a little correct to be worried about the chat rooms we were entering into on the internet. You know, some did lead people the wrong way. Not towards Buddhism, though, usually. That wasn't the wrong direction in those chat rooms. And yeah, also, meanwhile, Marge is already turned off to it. She's trying to bribe Lisa with dessert, but Lisa's not biting. We have a quick bit. Also, this episode is entirely... I guess I should have played this at the start of the episode. I'll play it now. Our jingle, because this entire episode is about being mad at Lisa's beliefs.
Take that, Lisa's beliefs.
Except Lisa is not proven wrong, right?
Yeah,
she gets a win.
Yes,
she gets a win finally.
Well, I mean, it shows you Mike Scully not in charge anymore, so it's not about proving Lisa wrong, as usually happened in the Mike Scully era, and making her cry or feel bad. But yeah,
or proving someone wrong at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes Lisa would show Homer he was wrong.
Mm-hmm. But yes, first we have a quick joke of Bart attempting to be bullied by the bullies, which also you reuse as a joke from Homer the Heretic of like, they describe a guy that sounds like Jesus, but then isn't Jesus. That already it's the guy who drove a blue car in Homer's story.
I like how it leads them into a fight. Also, it's weird that this little scene is about Bart being picked on and not Lisa for her beliefs.
Yeah, but
the story is drifting away from Lisa
already. This technically it's called She a Little Faith, and it's like the first act is all about Bart building a rocket, and now here's Bart even still stealing focus from Lisa in her third act.
Hey, he's got that new cereal. Get Bart on the screen. We need to move some boxes.
You don't want the implication that they were about to beat the shit out of a little girl.
That's true. I love the satisfaction on Bart's face as he's joining in on beating up Kearney, as it's revealed that Kearney has been dating Jimbo's mom.
I guess we saw Lisa being bullied in Lisa the Vegetarian, where they tell her she's going to marry a carrot.
Yeah, that's true.
So we already saw that scene.
Yeah, actually, there's no time for girls bullying her in this episode, though. You know, unlike in the marry a carrot bit there. Lisa then plants her Bodhi tree, which does appear in the season 30 episode My Way or the Highway to Heaven, as well as a playable item in the Simpsons game and Simpsons Tapped Out. So her Bodhi tree does have some history to it after this. They stick to it. Again, they don't stick to it as much vegetarianism, but they do stick with it. I also like that Marge thinks it's all about impressing a boy. That's how shallow Marge is. Like, is this about a boy?
That scene cracks me up.
Yeah. And she's threatening
a very mom or general parent assumption.
And she's threatening Lisa with a bath like she's 3 or 4 years old.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's her only reprisal. Like, you're getting a bath tonight.
That probably works on Bart, but not so much on
pretty small mom arsenal.
And Lisa then does the mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum, which is apparently a mantra for compassion. That is one of the most regularly used in Tibetan Buddhism, apparently, according to Google. All right, I didn't read a pamphlet. I read Google, but so if I am wrong, I apologize.
Take it up with Google.
Yeah. Richard Gere is basically the WikiHow for Buddhism in this episode.
Yes.
Only better drawings in this.
So as the next scene begins back at the church council, Kearney has Band-Aids on his head to reflect being beaten in the previous scene.
So the good news is church revenues are up 1,073%.
And when will the church see any of this money?
When hell freezes over, suckers! Whatever, just take it.
Well, next on our agenda, Marge Simpson's devil daughter.
She's not a devil. I just don't know what to do.
Well, Christmas is coming, huh?
Yeah, and Santa doesn't leave presents under the Bodhi tree.
You think we can bribe her back with Christmas?
Marge, you can save more souls with roller skates and easy bake ovens than with this 2,000-page sleeping pill.
I like Burns saying, like that they're never going to get their money, and he runs off, and then since he failed running off, he then throws money at them.
Yeah, Burns is off his game in this episode. He's just failing.
Yeah. I mean, all he had to do was open the door. What made him throw the money?
I wonder if him throwing the money was somehow their cover of like, look, the church is going to look back to normal in the next episode. Maybe if Burns tosses off that money at them, then it goes back to normal. Maybe.
But also, like, what was their general concern about resetting anything?
That's
for
true.
The next episode.
Well, you know, this is Gene starting back up, so maybe it's at the start of his new showrunner time, so he's like, guys, we have to care about this. We got to at least explain why it's going to be reset. By the end of the season, I don't think he'd care as much. No. And, I think most church gatherings are about guilting each other about their children. I think, so it feels realistic of them going like, oh, what's Lisa been up to? Your devil daughter. So then it's 17 minutes and 13 seconds into the episode. Christmas is said for the first time. This becomes a Christmas episode out of nowhere.
And we launch into Operation Xmas Remind of How Good Is.
Yes, yeah. A great line. I also love Marge being told, Marge actually doesn't want to bribe her with it, but she has to be told, like, Marge, you can save more souls with roller skates and easy bake ovens than this 2,000-page sleeping pill. Like, Lovejoy believes in the Bible less than Marge does. But
very funny joke.
And another
from Lovejoy.
You know, in the next scene, Lisa's wearing a jacket. That's again their way of going like, actually, it's winter now, guys. They've been dressed non-wintry the entire episode, but now Lisa's got a light jacket on because it's getting cold. It's
the other day,
Christmas.
she planted a tree in the soft, warm ground. Today, it's winter.
Yep. Well, then again, this is not too long after the episode Homer the Moe, where it just becomes the Thanksgiving episode, and also at like 18 minutes in. So
emergency holidays are launching in the third act.
And their first attempt is putting an angel on top of the Bodhi tree, which the animation of the dancing jerky angel while doing the jingle bell bark is so funny to me, as is Homer's dancing to it. I love that bit. It's really good. Then Marge dumps fresh cookies right in front of Lisa into the trash, which is certainly a very mom passive-aggressive move there. That's for sure.
They chose the perfect thing for Bart to accidentally eat and be concerned about.
Oh, God. The disgust.
A dog lid is very dangerous.
It's like
dog food lid.
Sharp and covered in dog food.
Yes. Swallowable will kill you, probably. Bart need to go to the hospital right after that.
Time to begin Operation Xmas Remind of How Good Is. Just do it. Do it now.
I think this tree could use an angel.
Well, at least it's tasteful.
I was just making Christmas cookies, but since you don't believe in Christmas anymore, I guess you don't want any.
Well, they do smell good.
It's a pity.
All right, trash cookies. Uh-oh. I think I ate a dog food lid.
There aren't any other deleted scenes on the DVD, but there are some deleted or unused sketches. Apparently, there was a joke of Abe, Jasper, and the old Jewish man dressed as the three wise men for some reason. There's character models for that in the DVD, but apparently it got cut, which, an old Jewish man, I'd feel bad for him being forced to be one of the three wise men. That's against his religion.
He doesn't remember.
I guess so. And so their first couple gambits fail. They're then wearing their fun holiday sweaters. I want that Homer one. I could dress up like that next Christmas time. I kind of want that holiday.
They were fun holiday sweaters.
Yeah.
I wish there was just like a little lead into Christmas. You're right. It's just like we run into the brick wall of Christmas. There's snow outside. Everyone is dressed up. There's a tree. There was never talk of the holidays are coming, Homer.
Yep.
I was shocked this was a Christmas episode.
And again, they marketed it as a Christmas Christmas episode, but yeah, it's like it instantly snows. It becomes Christmas out of nowhere. Lisa doesn't really care. And also to make this feel like Al Jean has come back on with a throwback, he's like, you know what? Lisa loves ponies again. We're back to that. Lisa hasn't given a shit about ponies in like 8 seasons, but now it's back to like, yeah, Lisa loves ponies and she really wants one.
She cared so little about ponies that when Bart got a horse 2 years ago, she didn't even interact with it.
That's right. Yeah, man.
What?
Yeah.
When they adopted that racehorse in Saddlesore Galactica with the killer jockeys, Lisa didn't give a crap.
That's shocking to me because part of Lisa's DNA to me is that she loves ponies.
It was in all of our childhood advertisements. Most T-shirts with Lisa on it were some reference to a pony. A penny saved is a pony earned, as Bob's vintage mug says.
The old catchphrases for Lisa.
I do love Clip Clop.
I love Clip Clop. It's fun. Even on the commentary, they forgot the joke was that it's Ralph and Milhouse in a costume.
I forgot the joke, too.
Very funny.
It reminds me of that little Sebastian horse. It's so small.
Yes.
An adorable
It does
pony.
look like a miniature.
One that they could actually keep in the house, unlike, Wildfire. Princess. Wildfire's the song she writes.
Not to linger too long because we're running short on time, but it is funny that Milhouse and Ralph are at the Simpsons on Christmas Eve and they're going to be eating out of a bag of sugar in the kitchen.
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny.
And they seem really excited about it.
Yeah. Hey, if I was a kid and an adult told me bag of sugar's right in there, eat all you want, I'd be like, hell yeah. Yeah. Also, I'm disturbed by Lovejoy saying, lick it. Like that. I was like,
Very funny.
But I also love
Something had to be disturbing, otherwise what was going to set her off?
I just love how Marge says, like, we're not trying to pressure you, and then she like nudges Maggie with her foot towards Lisa. And so Lisa runs off into the night, which again, they barely give any time to this to actually feel the worry of like, is Lisa lost? What's going to happen to Lisa? Like, it's really just, it goes to her in the temple and then she's back home. There's not much time for it. And also, what's funny, when she gets to the temple and hears Lenny and Carl's mantra about short shorts, that song had appeared twice already in the series, in Homer the Heretic and The Mysterious Voyage of Homer, both of which were spiritual episodes. So short shorts, the short short song and spiritual episodes go hand in hand. And
somehow these writers just... It's inextricably linked to their souls.
Which, in their soul is the thought of the 1957 novelty song by the Royal Teen Short Shorts about the brand new fad of wearing slightly shorter shorts than most people would normally wear.
They're a little north of the knee.
But yes, Lisa on Christmas Eve bursts into a temple and rudely interrupts meditation in our next Richard Gere clip.
My family tried to trick me into celebrating Christmas.
We are meditating.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I was only about to achieve enlightenment, but who'd want that?
Who likes short shorts?
I like short shorts.
Those guys are way off. Anyway, your family didn't have to trick you. Buddhists respect the diversity of other religions, as long as they're based on love and compassion.
What?
It's true. So why don't you go home? I'm sure your family really misses you.
I can really celebrate Christmas?
You can celebrate any holiday. And my birthday is August 31st.
Oh, I'll send you an email greeting card.
Sweet.
Now I really should be getting back to my family.
Yeah, I'm spending tonight with my stepdaughter, Hannah. I do her hair, then she does mine.
We're gonna go spend Christmas with Mo. So we don't have one of his Christmas accidents.
Hey, you can't do much without this.
I'm glad they got a dark suicide joke in here just at the end. Yeah,
man. Again, not to like be a broken record here, but boy, like he's playing this kind of flat, but also kind of real. Where I feel bad. He just feels genuinely annoyed by Lisa, and then it feels like his insistence to point out what Lenny and Carl are doing is incorrect.
Yes, yeah, he has to make sure we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, also too that it's a very American way for me, I think, to say like, well, sure, you're a Buddhist, but just do whatever you want. Just go to church. Who cares? Like, and Lisa's reaction like, wow, like that's a very Mo wow.
She didn't read the entire pamphlet. I think it would have covered that.
That's in the actual book, not the pamphlet. She never bought the book.
And this August 31st, Richard Gere will be turning 73. So let's all send him an e-greeting card on that day. But yeah, this resolution is even exactly the same as Lisa the Vegetarian. It's just telling her live and let live. And it's just like, I guess it's at least less of a guilt trip than at the end of that, of at least the Vegetarian, where it's like, actually, you're mean to your family and you should forgive them, even if they were a jerk to you. Like, I guess this is more of just like, just be compassionate, whatever. Go celebrate.
It's said by a less famous person in this one.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and Richard Gere is quite famous, but hardly Paul McCartney famous. Yeah. But yes, Mo Christmas and Suicides. It's a follow up on the classic No Funeral.
Right.
From but
I guess he just tries to use the same rope every time.
Yeah, well, Mo,
he has access to no other rope.
Well, if he used the rope that he uses for his belt, then he'd be in real trouble. His pants be
not to linger too long, but it sounds like Mo doesn't have a lot of ideas, because when someone jumps out a window, he goes out of the window. Of course.
Yes. It's not creative about it. But yeah, so Lisa heads home. The family was involved. Homer thought it was an episode about saving their dog, which was pretty funny. While Bart thought
Bart
they were
was just apparently knocking on doors and caroling.
Well, I mean, again, this is such a rushed ending that I can see why the other characters are like, oh, wait, yeah, Lisa was missing. I didn't catch that either. They're just like, oh, that's right. But
I guess she left at night and it's now day?
Yeah, so she's been gone all night. So they've, it's a pretty crappy Christmas for everybody involved. But yes, we have one last clip here as the family reconnects.
You came back!
Yeah, I wanted to spend Christmas with you guys.
So you're back on the winning team?
No, I'm still Buddhist, but I can worship with my family too.
So you're just going to pay lip service to our church?
Uh-huh.
That's all I ever asked.
Well, I'm just glad you're back. And don't worry, honey. I'll pray double hard for both of us. Now let's get you some Christmas cookies.
Thanks, Mom. Hey, where's my pony?
Yes! Merry Christmas to us all.
I'm serious. Make with the pony.
And a happy, healthy New Year.
Here, Clip Clop. Here, Pony Pony.
Happy New Year.
It is almost like the promise of hover bikes.
Yeah, hey, you're right. But I think Lisa should now just be like, you know what? Fuck you did lie to me. Fuck your church. I ain't going. Like, I'm not even giving you the lip service.
Marge had a really passive-aggressive line. I'll pray for both of us.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's condescending for Marge. She thinks, just like with vegetarianism, Marge, in a realistic to apparent way, sees this as a phase and a joke and not serious and just something she tolerates from her kid. Yeah. It's a happy enough ending, and at least it explains oh yeah, Lisa will pay the church lip service, meaning she will appear in church scenes from now on and still celebrate. It won't change how the show is written in many ways. She'll still be at the church and all that.
Yeah, a brief final thoughts for me. I feel like it's inoffensive, but for an episode that's supposed to fundamentally change a character, I think it should have had more attention paid to it in terms of just the plotting and Lisa's journey and everything. It doesn't feel as substantial as Lisa the Vegetarian, which is trying to be in terms of the transformative nature of the storytelling.
I think that episode believed in vegetarianism far more than this episode believes in Buddhism as well. And I think they really just believe in a guest star and the religion that is attached to him. But
it feels like the rocket gets as much time as Buddhism.
Yeah.
We learn more about yaw control.
Certainly,
exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm more familiar with that principle based on this episode.
But you know what? They got Lisa said the right mantra and stuff. They didn't. They get a couple things right on a Google
They're
level.
Certainly not attacking Buddhism and holding it up as the religion for her, but. Not very in depth.
No. I think in future episodes of Buddhism, I think they at least dig a little deeper into it. Maybe, you know what? I think a sad fact is if Richard Gere wanted to spread the word about his religion more, his celebrity actually got in the way of doing such a thing in this episode that had to do jokes about him and his career and his most famous movie, Officer and a Gentleman. I guess is his most famous movie. I mean, what else would you say? Pretty Woman. I guess.
Yeah, I was like, what?
All right, fine, but you're right. But yeah, I guess Lindsay. If any other final thoughts or.
would just say I think this episode has some good jokes, but story-wise, it feels a bit phoned in.
I feel that.
Yeah. Lindsay, thanks again for being on the show. Please let us know where we can find you online and what you're currently doing, if you can talk about it.
Yeah, you can find me online. I'm pretty much just on Twitter at Lindsay Katai. God willing, I will find the strength to give it up in the next year. And I can't talk about what I'm currently doing now, but I will say, support the New Deal for animation on your various social media channels. The public speaking up about it is making a difference to us in negotiations, and we really appreciate it.
No, that's great. I understand you're wanting to get away from Twitter, but I do appreciate that you've used your Twitter to inform a lot of people, including me, and I try to pass along about a lot of the nuts and bolts of the unfortunate business side of things in the world of animation. So
yep.
We really appreciate that. And also your podcast, Teen Creeps, we're fans of that as well.
Yes, yeah. Please check out, we talk about YA pulp fiction from the 80s and 90s by authors like Christopher Pike, R.L. Stine, Lois Duncan, and more.
And man, I hope, someday I hope both of us can ride that Sinbad ride again, by the way. Some of my favorite episodes of Podcast Ride are you talking about the Sinbad ride.
Thank you very much.
One day
that is delightful.
They'll let us all back into Japan one day.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Yes.
I'm making Bob feel excluded here because he has not ridden the Sinbad ride yet, unfortunately.
I've only heard the stories.
Someday. But thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again to Lindsay Katai for being on the show. Please check out her podcast, Teen Creeps. As for us, if you want to check out more of what we do and get all these podcasts 1 week at a time and ad-free, please go to patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. Sign up for $5 a month to get just that, but also access to everything behind the $5 paywall. That includes over 100 bonus full-length podcasts and monthly access to new episodes of both Talking Futurama and Talking of the Hill, only behind the $5 paywall, only at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. And there is a $10 level as well. When you sign up for that, you get access to everything behind that $5 paywall, but also access to one extremely long podcast once a month, only for patrons of that level or higher. And what is that, Henry?
Bob is talking about the What a Cartoon Movie podcast for our premium patrons at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons. You get to hear me and Bob go super in depth on an animated feature film, just like we do with The Simpsons. But that often means we talk for over 5 hours, or sometimes up to nearly 7 hours, like we did on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which you can get access to along with last month's What a Cartoon Movie, Toy Story 3. At the end of this month, we'll be doing a brand new one, and there's over 3 years, 250 hours plus of What a Cartoon Movies, in addition to all the $5 stuff Bob just mentioned. That $10 a month subscription will get you our entire back catalog that covers everything from A Kira to A Goofy Movie and everything in between. Check it out at patreon.com/TalkingSimpsons.
As for me, I've been one of your hosts, Bob Mackey. You can find me on Twitter as Bob Servo, and my other podcast, by the way, is Retronauts. That's a classic gaming podcast about old video games. You can find that wherever you find podcasts, or go to patreon.com/Retronauts. Sign up there for 2 full-length bonus episodes every month. And Henry, how about you?
You can follow me on Twitter at HENEREYG. I'm tweeting up a storm there, and you can also follow the official Twitter account of this podcast at Talk Simpsons Pod. And if you're looking for an easy-to-follow back catalog of all of our free episodes, go to TalkingSimpsonsPodcast.com. And, again, if you follow at Talk Simpsons Pod on Twitter, you stay up to date with all the cool stuff going on in our world on Patreon or on the free feeds.
Thanks so much for listening, folks. We'll see you again next week for Season 3's Like Father, Like Clown, and we'll see you then.
Son, we are about to break the surly bonds of gravity and punch the face of God. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, countdown!